the best fat burning workout.
Yeah, and it's like...
And they're like doing like this stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not making anything like that. Stupid.
Yeah. Anyway, that leads quite nicely onto the pod. Welcome back, ladies and gents.
Hello.
Welcome to the Lifted Lifestyle Podcast. Episode
It's been
12,
a long time, I can't remember.
I think it's episode 12, maybe 11.
When did we last record?
We didn't get one out this week.
We didn't get one out last week?
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah, because we filmed on Tuesday, posted on Friday. Didn't film on Tuesday because you were away.
Oh, yeah, we did film on Tuesday, didn't we? Yeah.
And then you were away till like Wednesday, Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Which was good. That's
Yeah,
a good starting
awesome.
point, actually, weren't you?
It was awesome.
Why don't you cook a bit on the Budapest trip?
What do you want me to go through?
How was the...
You asked me questions.
Okay.
Because I don't really know where to start.
Okay, let's start with the actual reasoning for it. How was the show? What was the crack? What happened?
The show was very good.
Yeah.
The best one I have ever been to. It's probably still not like the best of the best, but like it was, you know, when you're there and you're like, yeah, this is actually
really cool.
sick. Like, no offense to the UKDFBA, obviously not going to be watching, but like the difference.
I guess a lot of that's budget though, isn't it?
Yeah, like they're going to have more money.
To put to a better venue.
Yeah, the
and
venue
all that.
was like good.
Yeah.
The whole like production of it and just like everything from like the registration and it was just so much better.
Yeah.
You know when you see like all these like pros are going to register and you're like, oh, it's nothing like that, but it was actually like that.
Yeah.
I got weighed, I got heighted. And,
Really?
Yeah. I stood on the scales and it was like 61 kilos and I just looked at the bloke, I was like... And then he heighted me to make sure I was going to be in the short class and I was like, mate, is there any... I literally said to him, I was like, I'm going to be in the short class.
Well, is it 5'10"?
I think the cut-off for short is like 175 centimetres.
And does that vary depending on how, like who's there, or is it always just...
I think it depends how busy the show is.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think there was short... I think there was just short and tall. There might have been a medium, but I don't think there was a medium. So I think it was just short and tall. So it was like under 174, 175 was short.
Yeah.
Above that was tall.
So what is that in foot? Do you know?
Maybe cuts off at like 5'9", 5'10".
Okay. So
But
they
like
split it like average height,
yeah.
basically.
To be fair though, when I was in the men's short class, everyone seemed a pretty similar height.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember looking at anyone thinking, oh yeah, they're quite a lot taller
But
than
there was
me.
that one bro in the tall class that was actually
He was
proper
really
tall.
he was probably like a little bit shorter than you.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did 3 classes.
Really?
He sort of knows Ryan, like he's messaged him loads. So
Is he an English guy?
So he's Greek / Cypriot, Cyprus.
Really?
But I'm pretty sure in his Instagram bio he says he lives in England.
He's not the one coached by Tim, is it? Or is that
No.
that's a
He's not.
classic
I don't think he's coached by anyone. I think he coached himself.
Ryder's been trying to rizz
Yeah,
him.
Ryder was trying to rizz him up, but he was asking Ryan questions about like his peak and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
that was
you had a
like
shocker, mate.
weird when we actually saw him.
Yeah.
It was funny because he was like, so he's like kind of like fighting, talking me. He was like, so you're the like British champ. I was like, yeah. It was good. And then he was like, I was going to do that, so it could have been different. I was like, well, you got your chance today, mate, so let's go.
Right.
Yeah, let's just scrap instead.
Did he end up...
No, I beat him.
Yeah. He
I
didn't
mogged
come
all
in
over him, man.
the top
Yeah.
3, did he? He just needed a peaking strategy. He'd have won the show.
If he had a proper peak, man, who
Maybe
knows, he
sort
could
of.
have beat me. But no, he did 3 classes. I think he did because there was a novice class. I didn't even realise that was a thing at that like world championship level. So he did novice, junior and tall.
Yeah.
He got top 4 in all the classes, so he did well. But he's one of them where he's like, he has a really good frame. Like, in the front shot, I think he looks better than me.
Just need to be
But
bigger.
like any of the other shots, he just wasn't like big enough for his frame, if that makes sense. But his shape and like structure was really,
I wonder
really
how
nice.
much he weighed. That'd be quite interesting to know.
I reckon he was like high 70s maybe.
Really?
Low 80s, I'd
So
say.
it's quite nice to like... I know it doesn't always quite work out.
Correlate,
if you can see someone, okay, this person's this tall and they weigh this and they look like that.
You can like
You
compare.
can get a rough idea.
Yeah, but there's like this. I've seen this guy. He's called like Sahale or something. He's like a WNBF pro, and on stage he was like 56 kilos.
Really?
And he looks huge.
Really?
I think he's like my height,
That's crazy.
Maybe he must be a little bit shorter than me, surely, because he's way bigger and he weighs less.
Mr. Bubble.
So yeah, he is Mr. Bubble. But yeah, the show was freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like just little things, like when they did the winners' photos, like they played some cool music and they had like big flary things going off, and it was just cool.
And for the walkout, is it the same as the UK where they just play a random song or?
Yes, but like the music was like blasting.
Really?
Like, yeah, on our class, the judges asked them to turn it down.
Really?
Yeah, because like it was so loud.
Even they didn't do that in the when they were doing the comparisons, did they?
Yeah, it was blasting. That's when they asked them to turn it down.
So you just couldn't hear the judges?
Because they had like judges, and this is another good thing. They had the judges, and then they had a guy on stage to organise everyone.
Oh, that's nice.
So you know, normally they'd have the guy on stage saying, "Can like number whatever and whatever swap." It was the guy actually on the stage doing it rather than at the desk.
Yeah.
So he'd actually come and get you and like, can you swap with him?
Especially the first year you competed at.
Yeah, I couldn't hear. No one could hear a thing, and then they were like having a go at us. It's like we can't hear you at all.
No, that's left number 3.
Right, okay, well, we can't even hear what you're saying, mate.
Sorry.
So cheers.
I'm losing now. So the show was good.
The show was very good.
What about Budapest?
Budapest was general? Cool. Yeah, I really liked the city. It's weird because I always find this with like cities like that abroad. They're very what's the word? Not passionate. Like, yeah, I guess passionate about their history.
Yeah.
And they don't want to change that.
Yeah, what is the word for that?
Not passionate. They're like not happy. They're like proud of their history.
Yeah.
And they want to show it off. Whereas you go to like London, like there's a few bits like old buildings, but it's mainly like big skyscrapers that are new.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool to see, but there wasn't any
patriotic. That's the word.
Yeah, patriotic. Yeah, there wasn't any skyscrapers or like new buildings really.
Yeah.
It was all like buildings that are old that have been renovated inside, and then so yeah, the city was cool, cheap.
You go out?
Went out on Saturday night. Yeah.
Any good?
Yeah, it was alright. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was alright, but like, it wasn't like a night out, proper night out. Went to like a karaoke bar and then went home basically. Yeah. But yeah,
not a full send.
No, it wasn't a full send. I mean, I was pissed. I was battered. I was in. They had like a Mackey's nightclub. Yeah, that's what it's labelled as.
Bit weird.
Shit. You went in, there's just like a DJ blasting tunes and everyone's just sat eating their Mackies like, can I go home?
There's not really
there's no one like dancing.
I don't know if that works really.
Battered.
Normally you go to a Mackey's like afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying.
Food,
you go and just get some food and relax before you go home.
Yeah.
So I don't really get the whole point of it. Yeah, I didn't really understand it. But yeah, I was sat in there and we sat outside and I was like,
you're just
spinning. Yeah.
Did you have a lot to drink or?
No, I probably had like 3 like double vodkas, yeah, and then in like the karaoke bar situation, I feel quite awkward if I'm not drunk. So I was in the mindset of I need to get a little bit drunk here, otherwise it's just like doing my head in. So I had like maybe 3 or 4 shots of tequila in like 45 minutes. And obviously, I was sort of forgetting, like, I'd just finished.
Yeah.
Not drank in ages, so I was pretty swallowed, yeah. But it was
I don't know what it is about tequila, but
yeah, it just...
that stuff really
it proper sent me over the edge.
That one day that we had it in the Caribbean, absolutely ruined me.
It slaps you in the face.
That was probably the day that I had the least to drink, and I was just like...
absolutely battered.
I have no idea why. So yeah, Budapest, night out was good. Good scran?
Very good scran, yeah.
What was the old... post-show scran and then across the next few days, do you have anything nice?
So straight after the show, I did the classic, like, watch a bit of the show and just sit and eat. I ate like 3 donuts, 2 bags of sweets whilst I was watching. I probably watched 2 classes and ate that, and then I had 2 pints as well whilst I was watching the show. Then went back, had more chocolate and sweets, and then it sort of ruined my actual dinner.
Yeah.
So we just got like a takeaway because it was quite late, and I had probably 4 slices, and I was in it was pizza, and I was laid on the sofa whilst the other lot were eating. I was like, I was in so much pain. But then it went off, and I had like a couple more slices. Then it came back, and I just went to bed. Yeah. But after that, I was fine. Like I wouldn't say I didn't binge like at all. Like on average, I was probably having like 2 meals a day
Right.
that were just like decent, substantial meals that were just nice that
So
I fancied
you had a
having.
lot, really, the day of the show.
Yeah, the night of the show was like a lot of food in a short space.
Yeah.
But other than that, probably 2 meals. And I was racking up like 25, 30k steps.
Yeah.
I still trained on Monday and Tuesday as well.
Yeah.
So I was pretty sensible.
Did you weigh yourself the day after the show?
No, I didn't weigh.
That'd been
Today's the
interesting.
first day I've weighed myself.
Oh, really?
Since show day, yeah. And
Make sure you don't get mentally
yeah,
written off.
I was like, I probably need to weigh myself. But I wanted to like have the first week and a half not weighing myself.
Yeah, just completely chilling.
Yeah, and it wasn't for the fact that I could binge and not be getting in my head about the weight. I just wanted to just not really think about it. So,
Yeah, I suppose after however many weeks of like
weighing
monotonous,
yourself and
looking at yourself 3 times a day and all that.
Yeah. No, I think I've been pretty good since the show. Just not really giving a shit, but not giving a shit really.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, as soon as I got back, I was straight back on to like a normal meal plan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember you were saying to me, like, I just can't wait to...
I just wanted normal food.
Yeah.
I was so fed up. Like, even one of the nights, me and Hannah just had pasta at home. I just wanted like normal scran, not like a pizza or a burger. Or
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was good. It was
Well, that transitions
quality.
quite nicely. Post-show, you obviously no more competing. That's all ticked off.
It's done.
Let's go into
For now, anyway, for a few years.
Yeah, let's go into the old POAs. We're kind of in the same position now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how much weight did you lose over prep?
Not like that much. I think I started prep at like 73, 74.
Yeah, so it's about 15.
Then my lightest was like 59 and a half ish.
Yeah. That's quite similar to what I've
yours,
done.
Yeah.
I've gone from about 106-ish down
like
to
90.
Today it's kind of peak. Today was like 91 point like low 91s. I'm trying to get
gain
I'm trying
weight.
to stop.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's a good thing. But yeah, similar time frame. We pretty much started dieting. I started dieting a little bit
later. I think. Yeah.
but obviously, like a few weeks into the show, you're not trying to pull off a load of tin. But we both lost about 15 kilos, which sets us up nicely for the old gaining phase. For the old attempt at benching 3 plates.
Yeah, man, we're gonna get there. We are gonna get there.
So I'm about 91.5 now. You're about 60,
63 this morning.
63-ish. So for a bit of educational value,
I think it is slightly different between us though at the minute.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because obviously these like next 3-4 weeks or maybe like 2 weeks now is like solely just based on recovering.
Yeah.
So
Whereas
like
I'm absolutely fine.
I think it's weird. You see like people on Instagram, they're like, "Oh, I'm 4 weeks post show and I'm up 1 pound," and it's like, cool, but that's not really what you should be doing.
They put it across as if like that's really
the goal.
good.
It's not. You shouldn't be doing that.
Like maybe if you've got another show.
Yeah.
But even then, like if you had another show in like 4 weeks time, you'd probably actually want to put on a bit more.
Yeah.
Or maybe 6 weeks,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it's strange. Like they're like, off season's going so well. I've put 1 pound on. It's like, literally, so you're not even in an off season then. Like,
yeah.
Like, realistically, like you're not going to be in a spot to grow muscle.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, most people we coach never get
that lean. Where you have to do that.
Most people come to us with the goal of looking good, not necessarily
stage lean or
stepping
like
on stage.
Peeled.
Which is actually quite a big difference, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good... I mean, for you, it's probably a good, like, 10% body weight in between...
Being, like, looking decent.
Like, if you were dieting to just look good, maybe mid-60s.
Yeah, mid to high 60s. Like, when we went away to Havar, I was, like, 66.
Yeah, but then dieting to get on stage is another...
That's, like, the slog.
Another 10% off. Yeah. Which, actually... It's funny, it always aligns to percentages quite well. It's probably quite accurate for me as well. Yeah. Now, to get into stage condition, it's probably about 10%, another sort of 10 kilos, 10 kilos.
Probably, yeah.
So there is actually quite a big difference between that. Like that's another at least 10 weeks of dieting, which goes from looking good and feeling good to looking
the opposite end
like,
of the spectrum,
pretty outrageous, and kind of feeling like
bum,
like awful.
Like people think that you shouldn't gain weight quickly post show, but realistically, for the first 4 or 5 weeks, you should be gaining like a kilo a week.
Yeah, you basically want to get to
the spot of where you're like
a similar position. Maybe a tiny bit leaner to start, but a similar position where I am to actually start that gaining phase.
Your goal isn't to stay stage lean; it's to get body fat on.
Yeah.
Start actually functioning like a normal human.
Yeah.
Feeling good, performing good.
Yeah.
And like that's shown for me. Like within a week, I felt much, much better.
Yeah.
I'm still not like sound.
Yeah.
But like I can tell every day I feel more human. And like when we go to the gym, like I feel unreal.
You actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm like loving training.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, we've had a bit of a change of environment going to RT.
Yeah, which has helped.
It's definitely not just that. Like,
no, it's just actually feeling good.
Yeah.
Wanting to be in the gym. Yeah, it's a nice feeling. Yeah. A good feeling.
So for anyone finishing a diet, obviously Leo's reversal looks a bit different to my reversal.
Yeah, yours is probably going to be more relatable.
But anyone going through a diet needs to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's a bit of a fancy word, the reversal phase, but all you're doing is transitioning from a diet into basically trying to find maintenance and then up into a surplus.
Pushing,
And the actual time to do that varies quite a lot, I think, depending on how kind of adaptive your metabolism is.
Like some people, they can just keep adding food, and body weight will stay pretty stagnant.
Like even if, let's say you're, losing X amount a week, you can go from that and then kind of reverse engineer it to say, okay, this should be, going off my current body weight loss, this should be where my maintenance is. Let's say it's a 500 calorie deficit. Just drop my money lid into the money. Let's say it's a 500 calorie deficit. Just because you then add 500 calories, unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that then makes you at maintenance.
It's one of those things, isn't it? There's no set number on. Yeah. Like, okay, you might say, oh yeah, but I'm in like you said, 500 calorie deficit. Doesn't mean you're going to add 500 calories and then body weight's just going to sit.
Yeah, and then obviously there is the whole thing about like thermic effect of food, and like if you add 500 calories, it's not necessarily equated to exactly 500, but there's definitely something on top of that where you get a bit of a reboot in your metabolism, you start moving around more.
Training's better.
And then all of a sudden that 500 calorie deficit, you add 1,000 calories and you're still maintaining your body weight.
Which is a good thing. Like people shouldn't be like, oh, this is so bad. Like if anything, you probably want that.
Yeah, 100%.
You can eat more food.
Yeah. So, I mean, applying that to where I was, I think food got down to, again, I wasn't like perfectly tracking it because I was just following a meal plan and making swaps and that, but it was around about the low 2000s. Now I'm having like high 2000s and still lost weight. Like I've lost a kilo or half a kilo since my lowest weight.
Yeah.
So when you're coming out of a diet, like sometimes you do have to add a lot more than you think. So yeah, I mean, in terms of a general protocol, obviously you got to measure things and measure your gym performance, measure your body weight, etc. But what do you normally like to do coming out of a diet for the old reversal?
What, for like a standard person?
Let's say if you were coaching me, for example, and for numbers' sake, let's say I was dieting on 2000.
I think, again, it's tough because it's going to be so person dependent.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables.
You say, you probably would add like 500 calories.
Yeah, initially.
See what happens to body weight over like a week. I think, again, this is an issue where like you've been dieting and you're that fixated on food and I need to get my food up, work my food up. And your body obviously wants food, you want to eat. So people end up like adding food and then the body weight might not move for 2 days and then adding another 500 calories and then body weight's jumping up massively. So I think it's best to go small amounts, track it over a week, see what happens. If body weight's not risen over a week, then maybe add 250 calories more, etc. And the best thing to do is just keep adding food, or it's not like getting away with doing the least, but it is like try and get as much from as much food as you can, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to word that properly. And then just like when you can, add food. Just keep adding food until body weight is in.
Yeah, you don't need to be too worried.
No. But then don't be like adding food every 2 days just because your body weight's not gone up.
Yeah, take time with it, but don't be afraid to make fairly big changes.
Yeah, because at the start you're probably going to be able to make big changes, and then once body weight's actually moving, that's when you can add food, but sort of be very cautious with it. Like with my clients, there's times when I'll add like literally like 15 carb, and just be really slow with it, because for most people they don't want to go into a gaining phase where they're going to get like fat quickly. So just get away from as little as you can where you're still gaining the most.
Yeah, I think it's important with the week, because you've been dieting, you get really obsessed about daily weigh-ins. Yeah. Like it doesn't matter how much you look at the average and stuff. There's the majority of people will look at the scale and go, when they're dieting, and go, yes, I'm half a kilo down. Or they'll maintain or gain at 0.1 and be like, oh,
fuck's sake, ruined. Yeah.
Like, as much as you can understand the process, I don't think most people aren't going to get away from having that feeling.
No, yeah.
As long as you can rationalise it and be like, okay, I get the process. But
it is tough, though, when you've been so fixated on that scale for so long.
Yeah, exactly. So when you do transition out of a diet into a reversal and then into a gaining phase, you do have to completely switch it off, because if you add 500 calories, you're definitely going to have, or most of the time, going to have some sort of weight bump, maybe the day after or 2 days after. Of
course you are.
But then what happens is you get this weight bump and then it comes back down, and then you do it again and it comes up and then it comes back down. So you do have to look a lot more big picture.
Yeah, always that initial bump in food. Yeah. Whether it's the day after or the day after that, your body weight should take a little jump, or like a decent sized jump, but then it will sort of stagnate, which is what with me the plan has always been, is to get me up now to where like I am, maybe another kilo or so, and then we'll probably hold there for a good few weeks, because
let it marinate
with me now. But the thing is, like we were saying the other day, like I actually am very watery. Yeah. So sort of want to get that body weight on. Obviously, with the surplus that I'm in, I'm going to be a bit watery. Yeah. And then sort of hold that for a while, let that water sort of drop off, and the look will get better. Yeah. Because like me now, I'm up from my lowest, like 3.5 kilos, which seems like a lot. And I look at myself and I'm like, oh God, like my midsection it's like nowhere near as crisp. Like I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how have I got fat? But then like you actually feel the skin and stuff. Really thin. It's so thin, and like my arms are still like peeled. Yeah. My legs have still got veins all in my quads and that. So it's like you've got to just not stress about it.
Yeah, and just go through the process.
And you got to. This is another thing. Right? I think coming out of the dieting, whether it's like a prep or just a normal diet, you need to set yourself a goal. Yeah. A goal that almost like is out of reach. Yeah. Or not out of reach, but it's like a long-term goal.
Yeah, to start looking bigger.
Something that can really dial you in. Yeah. That's like been a massive help with me. I think that's why I wasn't going off those few days in Budapest and just eating everything in sight. Because as soon as I came off, I was like, right, I know what I want to achieve now. Yeah. Yeah. Like, and to do that, I need to not mess this process up.
Yeah, that is big. So in transitioning to a gaining phase, I think we've done both styles, with one being, you've done the reversal and then you put on body weight pretty quick. Yeah. Like a kilo every couple of weeks. Yeah. Like pretty aggressive.
We've done that a lot of times. Yeah.
And that works. Like
there is merit to it. Yeah. Like your training's going to go through the roof.
Yeah. And then there's the other style of being really cautious about gaining body weight, which I've also done. Not to the point where you're not gaining at all. Yeah. But I've also been slow with it, gaining
on the lower end of the spectrum.
1% a month. So maybe for me a kilo a month. Yeah. And I think this is still disagreed upon and can't quite be. You can't quite say this is the way to do it. Yeah. But understand that if you do go aggressive, whatever body fat you put on, you're going to have to pull it off at some point.
Yeah, exactly. You're not by doing that, you're most likely not going to gain any extra muscle than
Yeah.
what you would pushing up slowly.
Yeah. I think there's two sides of it as well. There's one side that's like, if you actually look at it, to put on muscle, like, because you're putting on so little muscle, the actual energy required to build that muscle is tiny.
Yeah.
So like, if you're in a 500 calorie surplus on a daily basis, that's miles above the actual calories that are going to be putting on tissue.
Building tissue, yeah.
So with that, if you do go aggressive, there's no doubt that you are going to be putting on body fat. So that side of the coin, or that side of the argument, says, well, why not just go really slowly, give yourself enough food to provide the energy to actually grow, and then run it for ages and gain really, really slow. Then the other side of it is like, well, why don't I gain quickly so that I then have longer time in like really high performance place, because your body weight's higher and you're really strong.
They both do make sense to a degree. I think what you do should be reverse engineered from what your goal is and where, like, the time frame of that goal.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like, I know I'm not going to be competing now till probably 2027.
Yeah.
I'd like to do 2026, but I think to be where I want to be and achieve those goals needs to probably be 2027. So that's 3 years away.
Yeah.
There's no need for me now to just jump into a huge surplus.
Yeah.
Because I'll just have to pull back earlier. Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather spend time pushing things slowly and slowly increasing my performance over a longer period. I just think that gives you more of a runway.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, don't get me wrong, if I'd put on like 10 kilos in the first 2 months, like, yeah, my performance would be really, really good.
Yeah.
But like you said, you just got unnecessary body fat that you are then just going to have to pull off at some point. And I think you can get your performance levels higher by going slow and steady rather than being really quick with it and having to pull back sooner.
Yeah, there's obviously the extremes at both ends. If you're purely going off, okay, this is the amount of muscle that's possible to grow, therefore I need a 20 calorie surplus on a daily basis. It's obviously not going to do much.
No.
Like, you can definitely grow muscle at maintenance and be fine.
Yeah.
I think you'll be a little bit quicker if you're in a slight surplus, which is sort of that middle ground. There's probably not much point going maybe as aggressive as we have done in the past.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of people, I know sometimes it might be true, but you see a lot of people being like, on Instagram, 8-9 kilos up, pure fullness.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's
absolute
not.
cap.
It's literally not possible.
Yeah, I just gained 9 kilos of muscle.
Bigger and leaner. It's like, no.
You
no,
are bigger,
not.
yeah, but
you're not leaner, are you?
Yeah. Well, you see, like, there'll be 20 kilos up, only just seeing softness come in.
It's like me when I did the gaining phase a couple of years ago with Finn. And this is nothing against Finn, because it did work for me.
Yeah.
But in like 5 months, I gained 20 kilos.
Yeah, that is a lot of tin.
Like, don't get me wrong, I built a lot of muscle, but I don't think I'd have built any extra muscle than I would if I'd have just taken things slower.
A little bit slower.
Because then it got to the end of that 5 months, I was 20 kilos up. I had that new muscle, but then I had to go through like a 20-week diet just to get back down to like a semi-productive spot.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan personally of pushing people really, really hard. Like, some people might be able to get away with it a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm the same.
I don't like it, especially for like your lifestyle client. I think
no one wants to get fat.
Things
really
get
quickly.
very...
and the worst thing is your face starts getting really bloated, like really quickly.
You get puffy.
And then
it's just like you end up hating everything. You hate the way you look when you should be going to the gym to like the way you look.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense, really.
Yeah, I think what's nice is there's no wrong answer.
No. Both ways are going to build your new muscle.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
But I just prefer, like, generally about 1% a month is pretty good. Once you're out of the reversal and into it, like, for me, about a kilo a month, I think works pretty well.
Yeah.
I did it last time. I definitely grew a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
I've not had to diet that hard.
Yeah. It's been pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's like when we like first started coaching, before it was one coaching, and we were like doing our own things. And I remember I started coaching Bryn, and he was like really, really lean. And this is at the point where I'd just gone through that gaining phase, like where I'd put on loads of weight. And I like slammed him with food.
Yeah.
Like he's eating like 4,500 calories and gaining it a kilo a week. And then it got to a point where he literally couldn't eat food. And like he was like shitting all the time. And I was like, mate, just eat food. Just do it. Like, just keep eating.
Just eat more.
And then I stopped coaching him. And then he's come back in literally, he had his startup call whilst we were in Budapest. And on the startup call, I was like, yeah, so we're going to look to like gain at like 0.2 per week. So like a kilo a month. And I could see his face. He was like, what? He like looked disappointed. I was like, trust me, mate.
Yeah.
It's the right thing for you to do.
Yeah. It's very easy,
strange.
isn't it, to
just chase body weight.
Yeah.
Which was the mindset I used to be in.
Because from a coach perspective, you're always like experimenting with things.
Yeah, you've got to, haven't you?
But realistically, you can never track stuff so accurately to say, okay, this has definitely worked better than this. You know, you're not measuring exactly how much muscle you've grown over an 18-month period. But you can easily test things like you see a lot of coaches with the length and range partial stuff, like fully going into it. And then after a bit of success, because you're doing it at that time, even if you're like, oh, I've just started doing bench press, now all of my clients need to start bench pressing.
A lot of coaches do.
That's such a classic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I can't say I've never done it, because like it was kind of before the length and range partials for certain muscle groups was kind of confirmed to say, okay, this is definitely not worse than full range of motion. Even before that came out, I was experimenting with it. And I wouldn't be saying you need to do this, but I'd be like, oh, this thing's quite cool. Yeah. Like, maybe give it a go.
Even just the sensation that you get from it.
Yeah. But I think in hindsight, the coach's job is to kind of assess it a bit more long term before you start pushing
slamming
it onto
everyone with it. Yeah.
And you go through, obviously, of course, you go through phase with your training, especially with selecting exercises. You go through phase where you're like, oh, this is sick. I want loads of my clients to try it. But it's really important to just take a step back and be like, okay, what's actually right
rationally,
for this person?
Yeah. Like, I know for a fact, whenever I put a new exercise in, I love it because it's new, it's different, it's exciting. Doesn't mean that it's then everyone else needs to be doing it.
It's easily done. I definitely don't do it now after kind of learning a bit more, but you still see loads of people doing it.
They do it, yeah, definitely.
Like getting really fat because you're fat. Yeah. Everyone's in a gaining phase because you're in a gaining phase.
Yeah, it's strange.
It doesn't quite work like that.
No.
That's a pretty good setup for a gaining phase structure.
I was just going to ask you what is your plans going forward?
So,
I think it's good we could both touch on this. So,
like I say, currently about 91.5 kilos, which sounds really like I've got used to it now. But when I was 106, I didn't think I'd get to that. And also, I didn't think I'd get to that and be like, could probably still get leaner.
Yeah.
Not that I need to. I'm happy with where I'm at, but 91.5 kilos. Trying to transition out at the minute, but it's taking its time. And then, like we were just discussing, basically going to gain from now, start of November, November, December, January, February, March, April. That gives me 6 months, which should have me sitting mid to high 90s by the end of that.
I'd like to think you'll still be sub 100.
Yeah, it should be. Definitely should be. So that's April. And then I'll basically make a decision then what I want to do, because I wouldn't mind, like, especially going up from being in a diet. The last holiday when we went to Croatia, I was in a diet, so like I look really flat and
like more on like
small.
A stringy side. Yeah,
and I know it's not the be all and end all to look cool on holiday, but it's also quite fun.
Yeah, it is quite fun.
So April come around, April, May, June. Sort of got 3 months there to decide what I want to do. I don't think I won't diet at like 90. If I'm 96, 97 kilo, I'm not going to diet, I don't think.
From my point of view, looking into like you, if you were like, oh, I'm 97 kilos, I might just diet down to like 93. I'd be like, you got to think, like, when did you actually start looking good and you were like, okay, I'm actually getting quite lean? It's been in like the past couple of weeks or few weeks where you've been like really low 90s.
Yeah.
So like if you're just getting down to like 93, 94, you'd probably do it and you'd be like, sort of just look a little bit flatter here.
Yeah. Like, I think it's also very easy to do like really just extended fluctuations essentially, rather than being dialed into a certain process. So I'll get to there. And it might just be that I maintain through summer.
Yeah.
A month or two of maintaining. And then high 90s coming out of summer, I'll basically push through all the way through to the winter, which should give me July, August, September, October, November, December, another 6 months. That will then leave me at my previous body weight from the last gaining phase, about 106.
That would give you a really good assessment of how much tissue tissue has you have grown.
Tissue.
How much tissue have you grown?
But yeah, at that point, like I will have gained body fat, but I still look back at like the videos that I've got from there, and under good lighting, I just kind of look big.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm pretty happy sitting at that.
Yeah, and your training's fun.
Yeah.
You're progressing every week. It's great.
Honestly, when I get to that sort of body weight and I'm dialed in with sort of hanging around high 3000s, it honestly feels like I'm some sort of
superhuman. Yeah. It's such a nice feeling.
Yeah. So that'll be quite nice to get to. I'm looking forward to that. And actually, because I think probably because of rugby and that sort of whole mentality around
you've always wanted to be bigger.
I like being a bigger person.
Yeah.
Why that is, I don't know. But
I also think that's just because of like your frame as well.
Yeah.
Like realistically, it's going to take you like a long, long time to be like dieted down and feel like you're like really big.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, I know this is kind of not that important, but with clothes, right? Like this stuff I'm wearing at the minute, this will fit me when I'm 106, 107 kilos, because it's got to be long enough. So it's quite nice. Like if I put on a suit now, like the black suit that we wear, that I had in Caribbean.
Yeah, it won't fit.
It fits in like length, but just looks like I'm wearing baggy clothes. Yeah. So I wouldn't mind just being a bit bigger,
able to just like
wearing
look
clothes
a bit more normal.
Yeah. So I'll get there, and then that's kind of where I'll decide what to do.
Yeah.
If I'm still in decent nick, I might end up pushing a bit further, but that basically gives me plenty of runway for the following summer, and then rinse and repeat. So that's a POA, I think.
Yeah, that is a good POA.
I've got this weird inkling to want to get like really massive again.
I want to get massive right now.
But thinking about it, like my previous highest body weight is 27 kilos away.
Yeah, you're not going to get there.
26 kilos away.
You're not going to get there for years now.
That's just not going to happen, is it?
You might never even get there again.
Yeah, and the purpose of that was obviously rugby, but whether that would be like a good move outside of rugby, probably
I don't think it would be. No.
Probably not. So yeah, that's my POA.
I think mine's very similar to yours.
Yeah.
I think from now, so I'm around 63, I think the sort of plan that I've sort of proposed to Ryan, and he's been like, yeah, it's like kind of good. I think that's a good thing to aim for, is from now until like when we'd go away in summer, so maybe end of June, start of July, that kind of time, to be around like 70.
Yeah.
So 7 kilos up in how many months is that? It's quite
6 months, 7 months.
Yeah, so around 1 kilo a month is what we'll be looking for. And like, he sort of said to me, like, if you do want to diet next summer, like, it's fine, like, you can. But my mindset right now is I'd like to not diet, to be honest, because I know at 70 kilos I'm still going to look good.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'll obviously be softer than I am now, but I'm still going to be looking like an above average person, which is fine.
It's interesting when you get out of the, you know, that initial diet, the majority of, this is quite interesting actually. I think a couple of months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I messaged Josh about this. You know that message I sent you? There might have been Josh, Josh Thompson. I coach him at the minute.
Right, yeah.
I sent him that, I was talking about how he said like he wasn't sure if he was like the correct sort of roster of clients.
Yeah.
I think maybe 6 months ago, 12 months ago, there was this perception that like our main people that we coach were like high level athletes.
Yeah, and people who maybe want to step on stage.
Yeah.
That is not the case.
No. Like the majority of people that come to us, they've trained a bit in the past.
Yeah.
And they want to kind of take it up a notch. And most people are doing like their first proper diet to get in good shape for the first time. But once you get past that first stage, you've done your first gaining phase, you stop the need. Like it's never really a must to be like, I need to diet right now. Yeah. So you have a lot more sort of decisions to make, I think, which is why you coming into the summer, you'll have that decision whether it's even worth it or not, because you look like you train like whatever happens. Yeah.
The issue is with me is like, when I get into a gaining phase, after about 6 months, I start getting a little bit bored.
Yeah.
And like,
it's just monotonous.
I sort of forget like what my end goal is.
Yeah.
And obviously right now, when you've just stepped off stage, you're like, like you're so motivated to go back and be improved. But you've got that does die down like a lot, and you sort of forget like about competing. Yeah. Well, I do anyway. And then you sort of, this is like, you get tied in a mindset of, okay, like trying to remember the end goal, but then also being leaner for summer.
Yeah.
And the way I look at summer, right, is like this year, for example, in Croatia, yes, I looked good. Like I was really happy when we went with how I looked. But like, it doesn't change anything. Like, no. If you think you're going to get attention from females, like you might get a little bit more. Like, I can think of times where maybe a female has said something. Obviously, it's irrelevant because I've got a bird. But like,
this is irrelevant.
Majority of the time, right, you're just gonna have males talking to you. Like, there's so many times when we were out and they were like, "Oh, do you go gym or something?" I'm like, "Yes." Now, please fuck off. And
yes, I train.
Like, that's cool. Like, it's nice getting a little bit of like recognition and attention because you're like, "Oh, okay, like what I'm doing is working." But then whenever I get home, I'm like, what was the point in dieting for that? Whereas this year was slightly different because obviously I knew I was going to be competing. So it was like part of the prep. But realistically, I know if I'm around 70 kilos, I can go away at that body weight and I'll look pretty good.
I think the only thing that you want to avoid, which is probably what I had when I was really heavy and when we first went to Croatia, is like that feeling where you sat on a seat at the beach and then you just like got rolls.
Yeah, like your belly is almost like overhanging your... And that was the same with me when we went Croatia for the first time. We were both like the heaviest we've ever been. And like I remember sitting on the beach and literally looking down and there's no ab definition. You just look like a mush. You look like a candle. So yeah, I think I'll probably be around 70 kilos, hopefully. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe like between 70 to 72 by like June, July. Probably will just look to sort of hold around there. Or if I'm like pretty happy, we'll probably just carry on like the slow push up. But for me, like, I think I need to stay in a surplus for like 12 months.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that because we've still never had a surplus, like been in a gaining phase for longer than like, I think the max is 8 months, and that was
really for you,
maybe 7 months.
Yeah.
So I'd like to stay in a surplus, just keep being slow and steady and really see how much I can push my performance. And I definitely don't want to pull back. Again, like body weight doesn't really mean anything, but in terms of like bodybuilding, like you do want to be getting heavier than what you were.
Yeah.
So I want to surpass 72, 73 before I pull back.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I'll probably push up probably till this time next year. I'll assess. I'll be like, okay, how long am I going to need dieting? If it's more than like need to be dieting, if it's more than like 8 to 10 weeks, I'll probably carry on or hold until after Christmas into the new year and then pull back. Or I might even try and just keep going until maybe like March time.
Yeah.
Then I can just pull back when I need to anyway.
Probably, yeah.
And then that lines up with summer anyway.
Yeah. That works quite nice, doesn't it?
So maybe like 75 kilos ish by March 2026.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a long time, but I'd like to think I could grow a lot of muscle in that time.
It's also, I mean, I've kind of done this purposefully. It's also sort of landed this way. That it's the first time we've been like properly aligned, because in the past, obviously being at uni and loads of other stuff happening, we've not had like a continuous run of training together,
where we've both been in the same phase.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of time where I've been dieting,
yeah,
and you've been gaining, I've been gaining, you've been dieting.
Yeah, and I actually think it will make a difference.
Oh yeah, like I really think this like next year will be very productive.
Probably
for us.
more so for me, but still, like, there's a little bit there.
I literally cannot wait for it.
Like, it's actually a bit weird at the minute. Like, if you look at numbers, pretty much across the board, we are like almost identical.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's like a few reps here and there.
Yeah, and like a few
Pressing,
exercises.
you're a little bit stronger.
Pulling, you're stronger. Like,
but it's within
very
sort
even.
of 5-10 kilos.
Yeah, which is cool.
Which gives you a bit of like competitive.
Yeah, which is good. Like, there's nothing wrong with being.
Definitely does for me.
I'm not like looking at HR thinking, "Oh, fucking hell, he beat me on that." But it's nice when you've got like a bit of like.
Yeah. But even like on the Smith the other day.
Yeah, where we're like having banter about
it. My top set went so badly, right? You got 7 or 8. I think I
got like 8-9 reps. Yeah.
And I was like, what on earth happened there? And only
you literally went to me. He was like, "How many did you get?" I was like, "I think I got 8 or 9."
Early second set, you got 11. And then in my second set, I was like, I'm not.
You literally
was
like, I'm not getting less than 11.
Yeah, so I ended up getting 11, but like stuff like that.
Yeah, it's nice. It helps you to push on.
I saw a podcast actually with Chris Bumstead sort of talking about this mindset around training, because there's a whole thing about like, oh, should you train to failure? Should you train X amount of reps in reserve? I honestly think the biggest difference comes down to like where your head is at in that particular set.
Yeah.
Because you can train to failure, but then sometimes I finish a set and look back at it and be like, okay, visually it looks like a hit failure.
Yeah, but
was I
I'm
just
the
like
same.
Tricking myself? That
like were you telling yourself it's getting hard?
Yeah, and then you start slowing down the eccentric, like thinking, "Oh, I'm going to give this next one a big thing." And it's like, have I actually pushed that hard?
Yeah.
And then you do a set and beat me, and then suddenly I'm like 10% stronger.
Yeah.
So sometimes, whether you've got a training partner or not, I think it's quite important.
I think it's
sometimes
really,
remind yourself about that you've probably got a bit more in the tank than you think.
Yeah. Like, realistically, no one actually trains to true failure.
Yeah.
Like, it is basically impossible.
Yeah.
Unless you're like really, really skilled.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
So having a little training partner helps, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be mega good.
Gonna cook.
I just think being able to stay in the surplus for 12 plus months should grow a lot.
Yeah. I was actually surprised that there's quite a big difference between me now and me in my last diet, because I didn't gain for that long. I gained 10 kilos of body weight across maybe about a year, and like
big
I
differences.
actually made quite a lot of progress.
Yeah.
Which initially, when I started dieting, I was comparing photos thinking,
yeah, you're like,
I look exactly the same.
Yeah.
But then you finish it and obviously
you look a lot
see
better.
the fruits of your labour, so should be able to cook and
it's going to be
see
good.
what happens.
It's going to be mega awesome.
So yeah, follow us along if you've just finished your diet.
Yeah, we can do like, well, we'll be doing like updates anyway, won't we?
Yeah.
Throughout the pods throughout the next 12 months.
Yeah, so winter arc.
So when it gets to June and we both go, ooh, we just start dieting.
A little inkling.
You can grill us in the comments.
Little
like,
birdie on my shoulder told me I needed to diet. But yeah, we'll keep you updated. I think that's good enough for the old.
Yeah, that's quite a long time. I think
episode 11 or 12, not sure.
I think it's 12.
Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe. We're cooking on not TikTok, Spotify as well. So if you're a car listener, go and have a look on Spotify. Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
And I think it's also on iTunes, but I'm not really sure.
It must be on like Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Apple Podcasts. So yeah, like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.
Sithy. Goodbye.
Ciao.
fucking good pod again, man.
We're so good at this.
Oh, fucking unreal.
Why do we not have millions of subscribers?
That was actually fucking hell. Jesus.